Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dawn of Drones podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldai, your host, and we are live from fabulous Las Vegas. I have with us the incredible Toni Drummond. Not only is she a partner at Prestige Air Group, which is a charter jet company, she's also the founder and CEO of Global Aerial Management Group, and they are the official sponsors of this month as we kick off an incredible month of market use cases. So welcome, Toni.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm so excited to be in Vegas again for Commercial UAV. So fun.
Woohoo! So it's been a crazy week already, right, Toni? I mean, we've been running around since Monday. So Toni helped me foment the annual Flash Mob networking event, which we held at Gilly's Saloon Monday night. We had about 75 people, folks, right, Toni? Global, Israel,
It was
Australia,
so
India.
amazing to see. Like, it was literally like a little precursor of greeting, so everyone can give their hugs. Welcome. How was your travel? So good to see you. And what else I loved about it was, during COVID, obviously, we lost track of who we've actually met in person and who we've only met online. And you and I have been to a lot of shows in the past couple of years, but a lot of people haven't. So some people are like, I wasn't here. And I'm like, I feel like I know you. So it's been really cool. That embracing feeling of friendship. Our party was great because everybody was really close, and the industry is forming this really great supportive bond. And I've been feeling it incrementally after AUVSI, but this one, I really feel it and I love it.
Well, and like you said, Toni, there's just so many incredible people in this industry, and it's probably a great segue to talk about you being one of those people. So let's
Thank you,
start a
Dawn.
little bit. Let's start a little bit with your background for those that don't know you. But by the way,
Okay.
everybody, before Toni talks about herself, this is not Toni's, no pun intended, first rodeo here on the Dawn of Drones. She was one of our very first guests, episode 3 on this podcast last year. And so I know Mike is going to drop that link in the chat. So you guys can go back and watch that one on demand. So much has changed for Global Aerial and for Toni since then. But again, before people get to watch that, or for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So, Dawn, as you know, I am a general aviation expert. I've been in general aviation for over 25 years. And with general aviation, I mean private jets, private airports. I'm working in anything that's not commercially based. So, a lot of, lot of different things. But I've been doing that for most of my life. I've run many, many big private flight departments worldwide. My background goes from working with very, very influential clients. I've run tours and all that kind of stuff. So our business now with Global Aerial Management Group is also tied in with Prestige Air Group, which is our fixed wing business, and that's here in Henderson, Nevada. So that's my background. My background's of real thick aviation, FAA compliance, flight operations, worldwide flight operations, doing it yourself where you're talking to the overflight people. So really have a good understanding of how the network and how the infrastructure of general aviation works. So that's what we're doing as far as that my actual thick background goes. My UAS background started only about 2 years ago, and that's to be remained of where that came from and where it's going. It's such a cool work in progress right now. I keep pivoting on different things. So I'm very passionate, as you know, and as soon as I find something I love, I will literally take my current model and say, let me put this to the side for a hot second, let this simmer, and grab this new bottle, bring it in. As a business development expert, I can't help myself. All I see is business development and how I can plug in. It doesn't matter what I'm looking at. So this industry is ripe for somebody like me who loves creative and loves to create technology in the future, to see this and to be at the show and to feel all of these ideas that weren't here 6 months ago. They're here. They're not only here, but they're touchable and they're tangible, and solutions we didn't have last year, we have. It is the most amazing thing I've ever done. general aviation doesn't work quite that fast. So everything's really slow in a creepy way with general aviation creeping through. And then you have UAS and AAM, and it's boom, we're waking up. We're getting the support we need. So really excited. That's my background now, for those who don't know me.
Well, it's really perfect. I remember last year when you and I were talking about this year, and you were like, "Hey, I want to sponsor a month of the podcast," and we were looking at the different themes, and you're like, "Market use cases, that's the one I want."
Yes.
And it really makes a lot of sense because I agree with you, Tony. I've been obviously watching your company. And by the way, for those that don't know, Global Area Management Group under Tony's leadership, by the way, 100% woman owned, run, operated group, won the Volatus Aerospace Women to Watch Innovation Team Award for 2021 last year, and they were recognized with that award at CES early in January of this year. So, you know, Tony, I've been watching the innovation of your team under your leadership and all the different use cases you've dabbled in. And that's probably, before we get to those use cases, I do want to talk for a second about Prestige. You mentioned it, you know, kind of what it is and how like global aerial in a way evolved out of maybe some late
Yes.
nights working in Prestige during COVID. How did that work?
Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit about Prestige. Prestige is my baby. It's about 3 years old. The company itself, it was bought out, and when I started with Prestige and how I even got involved in drones, the quick and dirty behind it was I was running a medical contract, and we were moving hearts and lungs around. Don, I've told you this before. What we would do is have doctors come to the plane, and they'd go and they'd harvest an organ, and they'd bring it back in this really cool OCS machine, which keeps the blood pumping. And so Prestige Air Group started really early on, handling a lot of medical charters and that type of thing. So I was involved in that, my sleeves pulled up 24/7, making sure that baby, always had a plane and a crew, and we were able to save the lives that we were responsible for saving. So that was our beginning phases of Prestige Air Group. With that, I started to migrate into using UAS to start to support those functions. I saw functionality with using UAS to support drones to do medical deliveries, and in my case, more organ deliveries. Although that's not something I'm in right now. Like, that's a use case that I'll go down that rabbit hole and read everything that Medigo puts out, and I will follow them like a hawk, because I love what they're doing and it's so important. So yeah, general aviation for me, I have found a good crossover between what I do with my business for general aviation using the aircraft, and how we have UAS and how we have AAM now connected to all three. What we do at Prestige Air Group is we want to run a Part 135 certificate, which a Part 135 allows us to fly people. It's private charter. Those are the same
Yes.
regulations we're going to be using for AAM. And so there's a natural bridge of me understanding how we work this infrastructure and moving passengers, and how we're going to be able to integrate that with the next phase of what aviation is going to look like. So that has me super excited. That's why you'll always see me like really excited and vibrant, because I'm literally combining my passions of fixed wing, UAS, and AAM now. And I feel like the trifecta of umbrellas here. My hair's already standing up. It's only like 2 minutes into the show, because I'm so excited, because I literally feel the electricity, and I'm like, solutions are here. They're here, and I'm holding them, and I'm touching the solutions, and I'm now able to help implement the solutions in the way that I know how to implement them, not the way that Jim or Jane, me, from what I do from running an aviation company for 25 years. It's not the same map. It's different, but that's okay. Diversity is what makes this so important. So yeah,
Awesome.
we've
Well, we're
come,
going to talk
you've
about
seen the journey. It's been a while.
I've seen the journey, and I'm still in awe. And by the way, there's a lot of people in awe out there, Tony. The chat is completely blowing up. You've got super fans out there. So
Oh,
Richard
thank you. I can't
Ziskind is
read because I
saying,
don't have my
well,
glasses
I'm going to
on.
tell you, Richard Ziskind is saying Tony is the finest aviation professional I know. So high
He is
praise
one of my
indeed.
mentors, Rich. He was one of my first thoughts. Thank you, Rich, for that. You've taught me so much along the way. I
That's so
appreciate that.
cool. Proma Drone and Jamar Williams is out there. By the way,
Hey, my
Jamar was on our
partner.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him more here in a shortly, but he was on the Full Tilt Tech Industry Leadership Talks podcast yesterday, speaking about leading with your truth,
I love
and it
it.
was a great show. So check that out on demand on Full Crew. But he says Toni is a real person with, sorry, going here with real passion. She is the real deal. That's a lot of reality there, right there, Toni.
Thank
And
you guys. Wow. That makes me feel like I want to keep going. Like, don't
you know,
give up. Keep
I am going to
going.
keep going because thank you everybody in the chat. We love you. So keep it coming. This is live. We are in Vegas. We are in our respective hotel rooms, riding hotel Wi-Fi
We wish we were
instead of on the
together, but
expo
we're
floor.
not.
Yeah, exactly. Brooke Gabbarding from LinkedIn is saying that comment you just mentioned about BD is so true. There's so many potential use cases and possibilities just sitting there waiting. So true, Brooke. And Brooke, by the way, was at the networking event. I've seen him running around the floor already. And then our buddy Jason Sansusi is saying, with all the new tech and use cases emerging in the drone space, do you think we are finally past the hype? That's a great question, actually. What are you
You
thinking
know,
about that, Tony?
I feel that there's still hypers out there, especially in the AAM.
Hypers,
I'm going to call them like,
hyperventilators.
they're just, listen, I don't want to say hypers. I think there's people that are overly excited and don't have the realism behind it. And you need that. You need the people that are overly excited. We see a lot of them. But when you see people overly excited from year to year to year that aren't producing that, then they need to come into somebody like me who's really excited, but also has a structure behind what I'm doing. Let me help you forward your excitement into something positive. But yeah, I do feel there's a couple of missing links this year. And I hate to say this, but it's the people that you feel that were like, yeah, we're hoping to get this done and we're feeling it. The FAA is doing it. Like the finger pointers that had a reason why their drone enterprise wasn't successful. If you stop pointing those fingers and start pointing them this way, you'll find the solution. Don't look out there. I'm not saying that everything's ready for us, but you have people like John Damisch from, Iris, like people like that, and lots of other companies that have now jumped into helping BVLOS and helping the ecosystem thrive. We have solutions. You have to find those solutions. So I'm going to be talking about some of those solutions. Dawn, I'm doing a panel on commercial enterprise today with the lovely Desi Epstein. Going to be hosting that. Desi, can't wait to see you later, and some great people on that. And I'm going to be closing that panel off with some really true, real slap in the face. This is what it hurts like, and this is what it feels like to run a business in this industry, because I'm real and I have no reason to make it fluffy. I'm not Dawn, there's nothing fluffy about a girl from New Jersey. Okay. We're real. We
Yo,
like to get the job done. East
the,
Coasters.
the Philly girl can appreciate that 100%. So,
Yeah.
I
But
think, yeah,
new
that's why we get along.
new companies, a lot of drone orchestration companies, a lot of wonderful booths, people bringing in, you have Volatus Aerospace brought in their mobile command center. I was enamored. I felt like I was going in, I was touching it. I was like, we need this for Promo Drone. We need a mobile command center. I felt it, I saw it, the humanitarian missions behind it. Like, so when you see these innovations and their mind is blown, your eyes are open wide, you're going, thank God somebody's thinking about this and they're creating my solution. I don't even know they're creating it, but they're creating it. And that's what I felt walking around the show last night. Solution, solution, solution. Need to talk to these people, bring together. If you're not here, you're not a part of that. You're not helping your business connect with the right people. So important to get to these networking events.
No, absolutely. And you use the word connections, you use the word collaborations. I mean, that is really key. And really, Tony, as I look at what you've been doing, really, Prestige Air and Global, you made that connection very early with your jet to stage use case. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about that very briefly. I know we focused
Yeah.
almost like the entire last podcast cast on that. Well,
Yeah.
because that was what you were doing in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? It was
I was like
COVID.
in it.
You had entertainers that needed to get back on the stage, including here in Vegas. And
Yes.
you were like, how do I help them? And tell us just briefly about that. And I know,
Yeah.
Mike, we have the article I wrote about this for DroneLife. Maybe we can drop that in the chat for everybody to read later. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I'd like to tap in about my agricultural background. When I first started with drones, obviously, having a use case for our clients was really important. We went out, we leased a drone that was a cleaning drone, and we talked about with our clients, we did go into a couple of stages and clean out some stages, disinfect. But it was right in the middle of COVID where they were starting to, we needed solutions, but there was lots of different solutions. So I wouldn't say that the solution was heavily adopted. And most of that wasn't because the solution wasn't heavily adopted, it was because the government shut us down. At that point when we think, well, listen, we have a solution, let us open up. There's too much, obviously, there's, the political banter going on, and it just ended up, nobody saw that coming. So we continued with the cleaning drone because we went to some schools. We were able to help out a bunch of schools. We went to some colleges. So we were able to get that use case. But what that use case really helped us dive into was more of practicing for our 137. For those of you that don't know, a Part 137 is something that you need for any agricultural business that you're doing, because a Part 137 is the FAA's green light that you can spray something out of a drone or an airplane, whether that's pesticides, whether it's cleaners. So as an aviator, as somebody who's into compliance, of course, I start my application for my 137, which takes quite a while. And we still have that application outstanding for the 137. And although we're not doing the services anymore, we've kind of pivoted away from doing those services. We still are servicing clients that are needing those services. So we have a company that I'll be doing an announcement with soon, a big company here, and we're going to bring their spraying drones onto the certificate that we are working on, and we're going to help them manage those spraying drones and help them manage their fleet in that way to help them stay compliant with the FAA under our 137 certificate. We do a similar concept right now with our 135 certificate. We bring airplanes under that certificate, and the FAA allows us to fly for charter, for profit. So we're using our aviation expertise and our relationships with the FAA. And because we already have an actual fixed wing aviation company, when we ask the FAA for things, they're really willing to work with us. So you guys already do planes. You know how this works. Here you go. So same thing with our 135. I do believe over time that some of our OEMs that are working on their own type certification, once they have their type certification, we can now help them manage their airplanes through our 135. And there's a lot of talk. I'll talk about that on our next chat as we start to go a little down the road here. But yeah, so the crossover between the aviation and the UAS is there. And then there's a huge crossover between UAS and AAM. We can talk about some of that. My project with AAM, I got into that, which is a natural progression for me as well, because I'm working in private aviation. The airports were coming to us, Toni, Monica, Samantha, how do we get our airport ready for the next generation? So we walked around. The National Business Aviation Association had their conference in April, and then AUVSI also had their conference in April, like a week away. Don, I saw you at AUVSI, but yes. I had just come out of that other conference with everyone going, what do we do? How do we get into this advanced air mobility? How do we start charging stations? We want to help the ecosystem. We want to be part of the ecosystem. And I just looked at them and said, I don't have your solution now, but give me a minute. I'll get it. It's going to come. I'm promising you it's going to come. And I did. I started my dig, I'm up in the middle of the night. I'm eating I'm behind my stuff and digging and down that rabbit hole. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm still digging. And through that dig, I found Sheena Banker and Grant Fisk from Volatus Infrastructure. We had a couple. Volatus Infrastructure had a wonderful product that fit right into my model. Their product was it was a modular early stage charging station for airports, for vertiports. And it's a really easy thing for me to sell to the airports, an easy thing for us to implement. I'm not saying the FAA is green landing us right now, but we are talking to them. We're talking about easy stages. It's not going to be a problem solver for everything, but at least to get started. Maybe our EMS can start using those terminals. Maybe our promo drones can start using those terminals. Our people that are out there doing humanitarian missions, our police, our fire. So at least let's get the infrastructure started, So we hooked up with Volatus Infrastructure, and they got a little bit of Toni Drummond. And you know me, Don, once I get into something, I don't let go. So they were like, we need you. We love you. And I was like, no, I need you. I love you. And we literally synced up, and it's like our company models and our similar to Promo Drone, like everything synced. And I literally fell in love with what they had, and they hired us on to do Global Aerial Management Group is going to be doing all of the management for the vertiports, the infrastructure. We're going to be high level, breaking that down. And then another thing we're doing, which I'm so excited, we're going to be making another announcement for this. Unfortunately, Grant, Sheen, and myself were not quite ready with the branding, But Volatus Infrastructure is going to be offering a really cool network with the folks, the OEMs that sign up for our vertiport use, and the airports that sign up for our vertiport use. And we're going to network those people together through me and through our team. And we're going to find the synergies. We're going to help some testing. We have really clever testing use cases that maybe they're not on their testing site. We can start testing vertiport uses, start testing airspace uses, and start getting some early stage infrastructure moving, even if it's on a testing basis. It's coming. We have, there's different places in different areas that are putting up these testing sites. I know them. I'm getting contracts with them. And then what I will do is be the litmus. I will be well, not the litmus. I will be the connective tissue between airports and vertiports and training. And while we're waiting to get everything going, networking, meet each other. How do we get routing? Let's put our routing together. You guys have a route. You guys have airports. Let's figure out what that looks like. So get the discussions moving, because we have a lot of high level stuff going, really high level, really cool, like mind blowing stuff. I read these studies all day long. But for what those are studies that I like to read. They're not studies that I can actually help make an impact on right now. So we as Global Air Group are here to impact other companies and our own, that we can help support getting us through this AAM and through this UAS next phases. I'm sorry for that long statement. I just had to get it out.
No, all that's really good. As I'm listening to you, Toni, I'm going to give you a very high compliment here. I'm going to call you the Julie Garland of the United States, right? But, no, like, because when I think about what you're doing, what Julie's doing in your background, right? So Julie's, aircraft, a charter aircraft commercial airline captain, that got into drones.
That's a huge compliment.
And, she got in the drones and, won the air awards. They do a lot of training. Now she's got Vertex, which is her vertiport company, right? AAM. And so I could see where, with your background in general aviation and your passion and knowledge now of the global drone industry, kind of taking that to the next level with AAM. So I'm really excited to see with it. By the way, everybody, Toni and I, Toni mentioned this or alluded to this. We've been at a number of events, together, and we went to the Future of Aviation event in San Francisco in early August that was co-led by Caltrans, the California Transportation Department, and UC Berkeley. And I know you made connections there, Toni, because, and I know some things, there'll be announcements later, which are going to be really exciting, but, Toni moderated a panel there too. But it's really interesting to see like this kind of AAM crowd, right? Which is like a different crowd than kind of the drone crowd. And then of course you're in, like, as you said, MBAA, which is generally speaking, your general aviation crowd. But the nexus between those three, the connective tissue, as you refer to it, is critical. And that's where I think you see these market use cases, you understand how to implement them. And I think it's really important for the industry. By the way, before you go, it's James standing out there, our buddy. He's saying this is huge, good energy. I will see you today. So looking forward to seeing James out on the floor. I'm sure he'll have his little camera, doing the thing. He's got a YouTube channel if you didn't know that, everybody. So go check that out. But what else was I going to say? Oh, we got another LinkedIn user here. Hold on. Plenty of potential ancillary services and business models enabled by vertiports. Looking forward to seeing where you take it. By the way, if you're on LinkedIn, your name may not appear if you don't have your settings set a certain way. That's why I'm sorry if I don't know your name, but it just says LinkedIn user to me. But we appreciate you being out there on LinkedIn and joining us this morning. So let's pivot back to the drone stuff. We talked a little bit about the vertiports, which is super exciting and really upcoming. You mentioned Promodrone, and we talked about Jamar Williams a little bit. But you've made this connection with Jamar, and with your leadership and your kind of strategic thinking, kind of pivoted from maybe being some advertisement or like straight up just kind of marketing vehicle with Promodrone to doing something different. So tell us a little bit about that use case.
Yeah. So Dawn, thank you very much for that introduction, because Dawn is the one who introduced me to Jamar. And that's when we talk about collaboration. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for you. So I want to give you props. You have helped me introduce me to people that have helped me grow the career and actually grow the industry. So you might not realize your power, but kudos to you and Mike for keeping this
Thank
moving.
you.
So Jamar is somebody that I met last year. Dawn introduced us. We went through a pretty quick relationship of what he was doing, I was doing. We were both struggling running drone businesses, and we found some commonality. But really, what brought us together was Dawn brought us to a really cool event called Edge 2022, and she brought us on stage, and it was with the Global Business Executive Forum. So she said, you guys want to come up and talk about what you're doing with drones? We're going to introduce this to the government. We want to talk about some cool use cases. We had a bunch of people up there. So I didn't know what that really meant until I got there. And I was like, oh my God, we're on Lady Gaga's stage at the Park MGM. What's happening right now? So it was like a really defining moment for my career, because not only did I stand backstage getting mic'd up with Jamar, who I had just met, and I've only like a couple months known him. We were excited, like entrepreneurs getting up there, like, oh, we're telling our story. But I will tell you, my new mentor, one of my newest mentors, Cam Shell from Dragonfly, was back there, and he is a serial entrepreneur, and just kind of put his arm around us and said, you guys have it. You've got it. You've got the imagination. You have the passion. Feel it, own it, get out there, and you've got it. Entrepreneurs, this is normal. We flip a deck. Like, he's the one who actually was telling me behind the show, showing me flipping the actual the diagonal and the pyramid of what it looks like to run a business, and how we put ourselves as entrepreneurs all the way out. We barely even give ourselves no time to do your nails, nothing, because you have all this other stuff. So I took that and had so much confidence going onto that stage, sitting with you, even though I had the fear of God in my face, like, oh, what's happening? I couldn't see anything, with lights in our face. But Dawn, you made me feel so comfortable, and you really helped me find my truth. And I'm okay with finding my truth, knowing that my truth is that I started in agriculture, and I realized that agriculture was awesome, and there's something that I can add to that by having my aerospace background, but it wasn't my absolute passion in life. As UAS, what I started working with drones, and we started flipping our, Jamar and I started talking quickly about some really deep, what can we do to take this next level? We're there with PromoDrone. I gave all of my heart and soul and mind and creativity into PromoDrone. Jamar brought me on as an executive advisor sometime in May. And right as soon as he brought me on, I said, Jamar, let's talk about what this feels like to us. And we both agreed that we love the idea of the public safety. And this, all I could see is, after being in Sandy, I was in Hurricane Sandy, and people trapped on the beaches in New Jersey. And I just saw this drone flying through the air. And I know Mike put a picture of it. You guys can take a look at it, the rendering. And I see it. And I see people in the floodwaters going like this. So when we were putting the rendering together, I was literally like, Jamar, make sure they have this, because that's what I saw. And if we had a drone that was able to go, you're okay, we spot you, we geolocated you, police are on the way, and it's on the screen. They can read it. As long as they can read it, they can see it. That sigh of relief. They see me. I'm not going to die. Don't panic. Stay calm. Being able to use those drones to deconflict situations, de-escalate in situations before they happen. We know we have a hurricane coming. It's not like it just shows up on our beach. We have a couple of days. So in that time period, use the PromoDrone. Get people used to seeing, this is going to be what you're looking at. Look for this in an emergency. Keep an eye out for this thing over the next couple of days. It's here to help you. That, in my mind, and I've said this from day one, that is where we're going to be able to get the FAA to say, I love that use case. We want to be able to support that use case. That's going to save lives. That makes sense. It's not going to make people rich per se, but it's going to save lives. And if we can prove that UAS, drones, AAM, any of this future technology is going to be able to save lives and grandma and save our first responders from having to run into a burning house. Somebody's dad is now saved, somebody's husband's brother, wife, because of that situation. Yes, I'm on to that. So Jamar and I spent hours, days, and nights just constantly talking to every single person we could think of, from Ron Leach and all these people that are in that space. Just can we get your advice on what you think this should look like? What would you need it to do? And that's where we are right now. We have our product. We'll be announcing our manufacturer. They're super excited to work on our product with us, and hopefully we'll have it out by 2023. And like I said, I'll be talking about use cases of how many lives we save next year. And that is going to be the point of it.
Well, well. First of all, you mentioned Ron Leach. For those that don't know Ron, him and Ray Adams were both on the podcast back in May for Vertical Flight AAM month, which was sponsored by Quantum Systems Inc. Here in the United States. And Ron is a retired New Jersey state trooper. He was also a helicopter pilot, and he's a drone pilot. So, getting the perspectives, and Ron and Ray are with the Urban Low Altitude Transport Association, which was, we saw those guys last night. I call them my Jersey boys. One of the very first nonprofits that I linked up with, and I'm still on their board to this day. I can't say that for every nonprofit I've linked up with over time, but I
They're
love
great.
Ultra. Yeah, they're
Ultra's
great,
amazing.
and
They're doing good
getting their
things.
perspective, yeah, is
Yeah.
huge because we talk, Tony, you and I talk about this all the time, people coming up with, solutions and then seeking a problem. It's like, no, you always have to start with a problem statement. And not only, is the FAA, going to be completely on board with this use case, but so is the public. I mean,
That's it.
I know you were talking about like little hairs on your arms going up, but I'm telling you, when you were doing the wave thing, and I was getting chills, honestly, because it's just so impactful. And I know Mike Peel, our producer in the background here, and my full crew compadre, has put out the promo drone link on YouTube to watch their promotional video of how their this kind of new market use case for them will work, and it is really, really powerful. So
It is. It's
yeah.
impactful. I think as long as I realize the further I go through with this drone and AAM world, obviously, fixed wing airplanes, we're on our own. We've been doing that forever. But I realize that I want to be associated with use cases that are making a difference, because there's lots of use cases that are out there to generate finance and money. And I think that's wonderful as well. But the use cases that are here to save lives, I mean, that's what we're talking about. When you see Glenn from Volatus Aerospace, like I said, with that, and there's a lot of people out there that have Census, that have these mobile command units, you realize somebody is thinking, I don't have to think about everything. I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about to save lives. And Volatus is thinking about what they're thinking about to have satellites. This is where collaborations come in. I can't run like an aviation companies. We do everything ourselves. We've got this, we've got that. We've got it in-house. We don't want to go out. Our private information. Drones, AAM, opposite. Don't get your mind in that space. We need to move forward and think past that. We need the collaborations. Dawn, everybody that you introduced me to, whether I can use their services or not, or whether they could use my services or not, doesn't mean that I'm not going to call them in 3 weeks and say, you know what, Jim, I have a question for you. Do you mind? And people want to share that information. I want to share my information. It's open stream. It's not like, it's not my proprietary information. Yeah, that's my secret recipe, but we're talking about how to further airspace travel. We need to share that information. And I know there's a lot of people that are probably going to put a gun to my head for saying this, but a lot of reports going out there right now that need to go out to the general public, and we're charging for them. I know that happens, and I understand the reasons why, but it's not going to get out there. People aren't even going to pay $200 for a report, because they're like, why do I have to pay $200 for the report? When the report comes to you free, like the one that Rex put together with Clint, they wrote it up for NASA with all those people intersecting their opinions. That's open source. I can read that and go, oh my God, thank you guys for this idea. Let me try to talk to this guy to implement your idea. So that's what we need to do here. My ideas are no better than anybody else's. They're just different. How do your ideas and my ideas intersect so we can get a problem solved? Period. That's really
Yep.
where my brain thinks as a problem solver, flight operations person.
No, you're absolutely right. And in a way, we kind of, some of us learned that lesson the hard way. I like to pivot for a second to diversity, and kind of say
Yeah.
something here that I hope people will take to heart. Sharon Rossmark, Marlene Dot from the Women in Drones, Marlene Dials, Diversity Development Network of Canada, who, by the way, flew here from Canada. She's going to be at the Women in Drones booth today. I and
Oh,
myself
good.
partnered
I'll
on
go see
this.
her.
The diversity survey for the industry last year. We spent. I'm not even going to tell you the amount of hours we spent on that, because it will make me
Mm-hmm.
cry. Because none of it was compensated, and we
Oh,
weren't able
fun.
to get a sponsor to pay us for our time. And so we
That's
did put that
terrible.
out. Yeah, we did put that out as a market report for sale. And frankly, I think a lot of people had that idea, right, Tony? Like, well, this should be free. And it should be free. And, so what I would tell everybody out there, if you took the survey last year, don't be disheartened and say, oh, we never got to see the results. We're going to make that free. We're in search of a sponsor. And oh, by the way, if you take this year's survey, you get last year's report for free. So
That's
please,
awesome,
please,
Dawn.
please take the survey. We're going to be on the floor here. That link is out there. It's live on the Women in Drone site. It's on my website. Take it because it's
Dawn,
so important. Yeah.
what do you need for that survey? Just so you know, let's ask that in case somebody says, you know what, I love that. I want to support the survey so we understand what we need to do. What does that look like? Is that something you can talk to people about?
Yeah, I think if people just reach
Couple
out to me, if
partners?
they have interest in sponsoring me, look, we're not looking to make a bunch of money off of this. We're looking
No,
to
of
really
course
pay
not.
us for our time. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing because we're
We
all
have to
really
get paid for our
busy.
time. And we're saying we're entrepreneurs. You're not getting nobody's paying your bills. So you have to
Yeah.
get paid for your time, otherwise you don't eat.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
easy.
have NASA, like, I don't have a NASA
Yeah.
salary that's, right, or a grant
Yeah.
that's paying for this. So,
Let's put that out
that
there.
would,
Maybe somebody is
yeah,
interested in sponsoring that. I'd love to see that
no,
out there. We would appreciate your sponsorship for all of us for diversity, equity, inclusion. A lot of people out there, there's a lot of money out there. We need this study. This study is important. So please reach
it,
out to Dawn if you can help with that.
please, please, it was a 125 page plus report that, that didn't take a minute to write and or analyze the data. We had over 1,000 responses last year, and again, we're hoping this year we'll get more responses. So, sponsorship aside, please, please, please take the survey. And it's UAS and AAM industries both. So let's talk about your heart also, Tony, for diversity. I know you're like 100% global is, women owned and operated. Tony's walking around not only with her team, but also her daughter at this show. So that's really super cool.
Yay! I know,
Yay.
that's so good.
Brianna is here. And I know you have internships. You do a lot of things in this space
Yeah,
to
yeah,
not just talk about it, but to walk that talk. So
yeah.
let's pivot for a second and talk about, and the reason why I think this is relevant to market use cases is because no market use case will succeed if you don't have the people to fly the planes, to maintain the planes, to consult on these things, to do whatever. Like there's a whole spectrum of professions that need all of us, and that's what
Yeah.
diversity is all about. So tell us what you're doing in that space.
The diversity, equity, inclusion space is really important to me because I grew up in general aviation and I worked with, when I was in general aviation going to an NBAA conference, there was about 5% women when I first started. So it was my job to try to be a man. It was cool. Like, you worked in the Air Force. I mean,
Yeah.
so you had to be a man. Like the more manly you were, the more you were accepted into the man crowd. So it's really been a cool transformation over the year. And I am not a burn your bra, like I need diversity. Listen, I'm used to it. I've worked in this my whole life. I love most of my mentors are male. I don't care. I want to be able, what I care about right now is that we are inviting a lot of women, young women, into our workspace to say, come work into a mostly male dominated environment. And we're not telling them what they need to do when they get here. We're just throwing them in here and they're lonely and they're walking around like, who do I talk to? What do I do? How do I do this? And they don't know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. They don't know, God, listen, we're used to it. We're adults. People drinking a little too much. Hey, how you doing? Hi, Don. It gets a little wonky. Young girls don't know that. They don't understand. So this is what we're focusing on. We're focusing on teaching ladies, and not only just teaching ladies, but walking the walk. We're teaching ladies what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. If somebody emails you or texts you on the side and it's inappropriate and makes you feel inappropriate, as an adult woman, I'm going to ignore that guy and go, oh, this guy, whatever. But as a young girl, you're not. You might say, that CEO just sent me something and I don't know how to handle it. So I'm speaking my voice to people that are on the other side of that may not understand that, hey, it might be innocent to you, Jim, to be able to write something like that to somebody, but a young girl's going to read that and that could be taken the wrong way. That can be a career killer for her. So please think about things before you're having a couple of drinks before the night before, that type of stuff. We're also teaching women how to handle, like, okay, for instance, we have Zev, Nadler. I'm not sure. He's a big follower of Promo Drone. He's helping us out. Great guy. He was at our party the other night. Got a beautiful daughter, Savan, and she is she's a badass. I'm sorry. She's in UAS. She's taken a she's at ASU Polytechnic going for UAS studies. And I sat and had lunch with her, and she said, looking around like she's nervous. What do? I don't know where to go. There's a lot of, and I said, you know what, take a deep breath, get into school, and then we're going to start working with you once a week. Call us. We'll go have lunch. We'll talk. We'll come to ASU Polytechnic. We'll put on diversity, equity, and inclusion, whatever, some type of thing that we can put on that can help educate, an education session. So that's where we're coming in. You have the Toni Reeds and the LaQuantas that are out there killing it with the younger generation. And then I kind of feel like at that point, everybody's talking K through 12, K through 12, K through 12. We need K through 12 to get us to that college age. Once they're there, bring them to me. I'll take them. And I'm taking ladies right now because that's where I can make an impact. Not that I'm anti-male by any chance. It just so happens that that's where I can make an impact right now. And even walking through the show, I mentioned earlier, there was a gentleman that said, well, what do you actually do? As a woman, not as a woman, but like that's how I took it. Like, what do you do? Yeah. What's your job? And I looked around and I said, we're a flight department. All of these women, we're a fully running, functioning flight department. From the second you call us to the second your plane lands, we do everything in between. Fueling, flight following, pilots, everything. So the actual flight operation is done by all women. You might not know that behind the scenes, but we're here and we're coming in hot. And that guy was like, oh, okay. So that's the kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that he understands, like, look, we're changing. This is the new face right here. You're looking at it. And you know what? We are all women right now at Global Aerial, but that's not because we're anti-men. Don't be scared if you're a guy to come in and chat with us, because we'd be happy to take you in as long as you're a strong guy that can handle a lot of ladies. Like Jamar. He looks like he's got a harem all the time.
Toni, you're cracking me up. You're like, oh, we're coming in hot. You made me think of Top Gun Maverick, and this is how much the world has changed since the 80s. In the very beginning of the movie now, they talk about the school, right? The Top Gun school. They say the Navy's top men and women they added. And I was like, whoa. And then, of course, there's like one token woman on the flight team that gets picked, the top 1% or whatever that's going to do this mission in the movie. But hey, you know what? It's progress. We'll call it what it is. And I don't want to be a spoiler for the movie, but it was a great flick. And of course, once again, Lady Gaga did the music. It was amazing. Anyway.
I wanted to bring something up. You mentioned Women in Drones the other day, and a couple minutes ago. And Women in Drones is doing a really cool, Sharon, she's got a little documentary they're filming on her. Sony's here doing a documentary on her. And first of all, what a wonderful team, really embracing. And I sat down with their producers yesterday to give my interview. I was really excited to talk about Women in Drones. It's a really special part of my heart. We were awarded that award this year that really helped propel us and our team, give us that motivation. And one of the questions that was asked, and this is asked to women all the time, and I want to talk about this really quick on the show. He said to me, you're a mom and you are a wife and you are running multiple companies. How do you do it all? And I stopped for a second before I gave my canned answer, and I just said, you know what? That's a good question. And it's a question that we never ask to men. Why is that? Why are we getting asked that question? And I said to him, because as a woman, listen, I'm expected to do all of that, to do my kids and what are we doing? Keeping the house under control, the groceries, the dog, husband, 3 businesses. And how do you do it all? And I'm over here like, why don't you ask the guys that question too? How do they do it all? They're going to go and say, oh, my wife helps me. You know what I mean? It's my wife. I mean, for you and I, we have active husbands. So I'm like, that's my guy. My husband's got me on track. He's got the laundry, making sure I'm eating. Thank you, God. Making sure the kids are eating. Thank you, God. That's what it is. It's teamwork, making the dream work here. But I wanted to bring that up while we're on the show, because let's be careful this week. Like, as we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, that's a big thing. We're just expected, the expectations out there. And he didn't ask me that to be rude. That's a good question to ask a woman, right? Let's ask those questions to men. I want us all to go and ask a man that question this week. How do you do it all? What do you mean? The kids, food, the house. How do you do it all? I have my wife, really. And women have their husbands, but you know what I'm saying? So it hit me. I wanted to bring that up. really interesting. But that is going to be an excellent show. I'm really excited for them to highlight what not only Sharon is doing in Women in Drones,
Yep.
but Women in Drones together. You know, everybody, Kim Penn, everybody that was in that, LaQuinta, everybody's in that room. You walk in that room and you're feeling like your family is there to give you a big hug and embrace you. And that's what Sharon has created. She's created this really wonderful group of maybe higher level women that are CEO level like myself. And then there's women that are flying drones, and every single one of us has a purpose. It's killer. I love it. So I hope you get a chance to chat on that at some time soon. They're going to be at
I'm doing my interview Thursday, so I guess that's tomorrow. You know, it's all blur, and so now I'll be prepared for that question. But we are at time, and I don't know where the time went. Of course, it always goes fast with you, Toni.
We're at time?
But I want to say something really quick about what you just mentioned. So you mentioned I was in the Air Force, and most of my fans know this. You know, I couldn't have done that career without my husband, Bill, who, by the way, is here at the show. So if you haven't met him and you're here, say hi to Bill Zoldi.
He's double fisting. Just look for Bill double fisting around the
Oh
conference.
God, he was. That's what he needs. He needs 2 beers to like live with me. But what I was when I was just a lieutenant colonel, mere lieutenant colonel. I was on a panel for like a diversity event the Air Force actually held. And I talked about how he had given up his career to follow me around during my Air Force career. And, you know, we had talked about that, and literally the whole room got up, and he wasn't there. I was just talking about him, and they gave him a standing ovation.
They should.
Yes. So here. All right. We are out of time, Toni. So real quick, how can people reach you? How can they find you? And then we're going to have to like wrap this up.
Okay, I'm sorry we didn't have any more time. I love this. I can talk to you all day. You guys can find me the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, Toni Drummond, at Global Aerial Group and at Prestige Air Group. Those are our handles. We do most of my updating is on LinkedIn right now. We have our website, which is also globalaerialgroup.com and prestigeairgroup.com. If you're interested in finding anything else out about those companies, let me know. And anybody who's interested in finding out about Promo Drone or AAM and the eVTOL, reach out to me. I would love nothing more than to yammer away everything I know on the subject and how I can get you involved, because it's my passion project. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And find me online if you have any questions. I love to talk to everybody, and I always accept friend requests and love to connect. So
well,
thank you. And Michael, I'm sorry this is so short.
No, well, I mean, 45 minutes, it's been over already. I mean, it's crazy.
Nice.
But you'll get a little bit more of Toni if you dial in. Fun fact, everybody, this afternoon, 3:45 Pacific, we are going to do a live stream from the floor at Commercial UAV to get those first impressions. Now that it'll be like the first day under everybody's belt, first full day. Toni's going to be in that lineup. We got an incredible lineup today. So join us. Follow on LinkedIn, Toni, me. It's going to be streaming across my LinkedIn, also on YouTube. So more to follow, but we'll be posting up that link here shortly. But regardless, it's going to go across my LinkedIn at a very minimum. And we'll see you soon. So we are out here. Have a great week for those in Vegas, and find us.
See you later.
See you later. All right. We are out here.
Bye, Don. Bye, Mike.